Hi everybody, Tallara here. Welcome back to Inquisition. We are getting really close to the end of the main story here in the game, and in fact, we have the final quest up in our quest log there in the top right, Doom upon all the world. Before we get into it though, there are still a few things I want to do. There's actually, I believe, 2 areas that we have not yet explored, and still a couple of companion quests. So I just want to begin by saying we are not going to be doing Doom upon all the world today. However, to get to where we need to go, we do need to go to the war room. So that is going to start the first part of the quest, where we are going to speak to our advisors. So just a heads up on that. We'll head to our war room, debrief with our advisors, and then we're going to pivot to some other content. Alright, here we are. And they're actually letting me look at the map without speaking to my advisors. For some reason, I thought if I came to the table that the dialogue would automatically trigger, but it appears it's not going to trigger until I actually click on the quest. So that all works out. Now we can see what our companions have been up to. For example, this one is for Josephine's quest. We need to speak with Mr. Belize at a party. And Josephine writes us this letter and says, Inquisitor, I have the time and place of the Marquis's party. You must find a way to speak with Minister Belize privately about ratifying the Du Paraquet's return to nobility. It is the last step we need. She holds the success of this entire endeavor in her hands. So, I guess that's going to be another quest we can join. Okay, we'll have to look into that. For now, we also have this one. We've been researching the Well of Sorrows, or Liliana has. She says, Inquisitor, I must take over our investigation into the Well of Sorrows. Dozens of antiquarians and historians are begging us for the results. There have been several attempts to steal our research. While we have nothing conclusive, the research has proven useful in negotiations with interested scholars, and we should guard it accordingly. And then finally, bringing Samson to Skyhold for judgment. Inquisitor Adar, we have secured Samson in the holding pens, your worship. He's not said much. We'll bring out the villain for judgment at your pleasure. From Jailer Blythe. Okay, so let's get the rest of the crew working while we go do our thing. I see this quest here which really draws my eye. The consequences of Blackwell's lie. This is a letter written in fine hand and lightly scented, signed by Josephine. The issue of Tom Rainier has been settled, but his deception has had far-reaching consequences. Had we not used the Grey Warden treaties, we might not have found ourselves in so awkward a position. As it is, I receive daily messages from all quarters demanding we make reparations. We must do something. Scribbled beneath, signed by Cullen. I'm sorry, did we embarrass a duchess at a soiree by stepping on her gown? Or was the sky torn open and Haven beset by an ancient Darkspawn Magister? We needed the gold. We needed the men. You would have persuaded someone to part with them, with or without the treaties. We are not making reparations for doing what we had to do, what no one else could have done. Don't forget we are now allied with the Wardens. If we had no authority to conscript before, we do now. We gotta choose which way we want to do this. While I appreciate Josephine's potential delicate handling of this situation, I think I have to agree with Cullen now. If we didn't actually have the treaties at the time, due to Blackwell's lies, sure, but we have them now. So, and I don't think there's any point in going back. We're literally still in the middle of the war. I think I want to be a little heavy-handed with this, and I'm going to let Cullen handle it. He says, we step forward, not back. No apologies. What happened with the Wardens gives us more authority than ever to use the treaties.
Inquisitor.
So I'm going to let him handle that. Next, I saw a quest here that caught my eye. A present for Bianca. It's a note to Liliana from Varric. Heard your little birdies have had recent successes picking up shiny things for the Inquisition. Maybe you can help me out. One of the apprentice smiths saw me walking by with my Bianca, and we struck up a conversation. The apprentice said he once met a Formari mage named Provident who had ideas for improving the precision of siege engines, and wondered if they could be adapted for Bianca. And then he got into phrases like recoil dampening and rectilinear motion, and I politely excused myself. Could you tell your magpies to keep an eye out for Provident or his designs? Obviously, I don't have trouble with Bianca's accuracy. She does like it when Daddy gets her new fittings. So we'll let Liliana handle this. She says, I can certainly tell my agents to look out for this Provident, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. Since the Mage Rebellion, so many have been killed or lost. I wouldn't hold my breath for these designs, either.
Inquisitor.
Either way, we'll get her to look into it. And then, last but not least, I mean, there's so many options here. Let's do this one. Dwarven Slaves in Venatori Hands. This is a report from one of Cullen's forward scouts. Sightings in the north of Red Templars with armor and weapons adorned with Dwarven runes. There are no known entrances to the deep roads in that area, and no missives from Orzammar about missing traders, but they keep next to non-existent records of surface dwarves. The Venatori may be making use of Dwarven slaves, possibly from Tevinter. Not their usual preference, but also not the first unusual thing they've done. We recommend further investigation in force. So we'll get Josephine to tackle this. She says, the local landholders will get our scouts access, but will likely require additional incentive to risk their forces against Venatori.
Inquisitor.
I'll let you handle it, Josephine. We need to rescue those dwarves. And now, before we go explore one of the areas, I mentioned before that we have 2 areas that we still need to explore, and they are the Emerald Graves and Empris du Lion. I've not been to either one, and I do, just for completion's sake, want to at least, explore them a little bit. But before we do that, I am going to back out for 2 reasons. I want to go judge Samson, and I also want to see how we get to this party that Josephine wants us to attend. So let's back out and gather our thoughts, and we'll be right back. Okay, so first up, I'm going to sit and judge Samson, seeing as he's already here, we won't make him wait any longer. We'll get right to the Judgment Day. Can't wait to hear what he has to say for himself.
For personal interest, I have relieved Josephine, as you might expect. Knight Templar Samson, General to Corypheus, traitor to the Order. The blood on his hands cannot be measured. His head is too valuable to take. Kirkwall, Orlais, many would see him suffer. I can't say I'm not one of them.
It's really unfortunate how this, I don't even know what this is completely blocking the view of the camera. Cannot see my face at all. But I will say, too valuable to kill, really?
The headman's axe isn't enough? That's an impressive amount of ill will.
The Red Lyrium will steal your vengeance. You know what it does. Corypheus only delayed my corruption.
Are you still loyal to that thing? He poisoned the Order, used them to kill thousands.
Templars have always been used. How many were left to rot like I was, after the Chantry burned away their minds? Piss on it. I followed him, so Templars could at least die at their best. Same lie as the Chantry. The profit just isn't as pretty.
I mean, I was gonna lie and say I want to be merciful, but I don't. Like, he almost destroyed the whole damn world. I'm gonna say, your defense is pathetic.
You led them to their deaths, but did a good job? That's your defense?
I'm not offering a defense. What I did was a mercy for Templars already lost.
You were always weak, and your leadership proves it.
Every one of those Templars would have suffered until nothing was left. And then be forced to kill and die. I gave them hope. Just like the Chantry. Just like you. I'm weak, and you're a savior. Do what you want. I'm done talking.
Alright, so, well, the least I can say for Samson is at least he believed in what he did. But you know what? I think I will take Cullen's advice and say, let Kirkwall have you. We'll build a little bit of goodwill. We know what he did in Kirkwall, obviously, through our journeys in Dragon Age 2, and I think that's the decision I want to make here.
We could use more friends in the free marches. We'll barter you there. Samson, you are a traitor and a murderer. Kirkwall's leaders will decide your fate.
Do as you will, Inquisitor. Your kind always does.
Alright, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Samson is being shipped off to Kirkwall, where they will decide his fate. And in the meantime, we've got a party to attend. So I looked on the world map, and we can actually go right to Josephine's party of somewhat fallen fortune. Josephine attempted to reinstate her family as a trading power in Orlais, which triggered an assassination contract taken out more than 100 years ago by a family known as the Du Paraquets. Despite the contract's age and the fact that the Du Paraquets are no longer nobility, the contract is still binding. A group of assassins honoring the contract, called a House of Repose, won't rest until Josephine is dead. And Josephine's plan to deal with it, of course, is to re-establish the Du Paraquets into nobility, where they will be so thankful that they will cancel the contract. And we have taken a lot of steps at this point, called in a lot of favors, and now we are going to head to this party. Hopefully get a good word for Josephine.
Thank you for seeing me in private, Minister Belize.
I chastise you for taking me from the party, Inquisitor, but the Marquis throws such dull affairs. It's hardly worth it. I assume you wish to discuss your petition to elevate these Du Paraquets to a minor lordship. Tell me, why should I allow you to pollute the Orlesian nobility any further than it's already been muddled?
The Du Paraquets were noble, though.
The Du Paraquets used to be noble. You'd be restoring an old house of Orlais.
Restoring it far too late. What are the Du Paraquets now? Traders? Farmers? Really, it is too much. The very thought causes me pain. What can you possibly provide that will make your petition worth my effort?
Connections beyond Orlais.
Diplomatic connections that reach far beyond the boundaries of Val Royeaux, perhaps.
I might make use of your ambassador. The Montiliers aren't what they were, but at least they're from proper stock. Arrange for me to be introduced to the court of Antiva. I hear winter is most pleasant by their sea. Very well, Inquisitor. Should you fulfill this bargain, I shall raise the Du Paraquets into lordship.
Alright, beautiful. Just what I wanted to hear. We'll set her up with some nice connections, maybe a good winter home up in Antiva. In return, she'll help out our gal Josephine so she doesn't get assassinated. Alright, here we are back in Skyhold. Let's go tell Josephine the good news. And, I mean, I presume she's even been in contact with these people and they will hold up their end of the bargain, but TLDR is, hopefully she can get this whole contract annulled.
I must return to Val Royeaux to see that everything is in order. Please join me when you can.
Okay. Guess we'll go meet Josephine in Val Royeaux. It was hard to hear her because that missus was talking at the same time, but that's okay. We know where we need to go. To the world map. To Val Royeaux. Let's meet Josephine. Alright, I see Josephine up ahead, looking out into the harbor. Hopefully that means she has good news for us.
I received a letter from the House of Repose, Your Worship. They acknowledge their contract is null and void.
Excellent!
There's no longer a price on my life.
Great news. I'm glad you're safe.
I'm glad you don't have to live your life looking over your shoulder anymore.
I regret we were forced to deal with them. That you are endangered by my part in the game. Did I ever mention I used to be a bard?
You were a singer.
Bards entertain the Orlesian court. They sing, play music, make charming conversation, and spy. Many young nobles put on a mask and practice playing the game in such a fashion.
How did you come to it?
What made you interested in becoming a bard?
I was attending a university in Val Royeaux when I learned about bards. There was such an air of romance about them. Stories of secrets, trysts, and fascinating people.
A group of us, young gentry from Antiva, decided this exciting life was for us.
And now you're a diplomat?
How did you go from being a wandering singer to an ambassador?
In a very sad fashion. During one particular intrigue, I encountered the bard sent to kill my patron. We fought. Or perhaps scrapped is the better word. Both of us terrified. We were at the top of a steep flight of stairs. The other bard drew a knife, and I pushed him away from me. You can imagine the result.
It was self-defense.
You were only defending yourself.
But it was such a waste, Inquisitor. When I took off his mask, I knew him. We'd attended parties together. If I'd stopped to reason, if I'd used my voice instead of scuffling like a common thug, I'll always wonder who that young man would have grown into.
No one merciful.
He seemed willing enough to murder you for the game.
Perhaps. I feel I'm the last to judge whether or not he would have actually used the blade. In all the commotion... forgive me, I don't believe I ever thanked you for helping me with this.
You saved your family with it.
Hold on to it. Don't lose sight of why you came here.
I will never forget you helped save the House of Montilyet, Inquisitor. And should you ever visit Antiva, stories of the welcome we'll give you will be told for years.
Excellent. Well, all's well that ends well. No longer does Liliana have to live in fear or keep an eye over her shoulder for some assassins, and now her family can also continue reestablishing their trade presence. So that's just another one of our companions helped, and we got to learn a bit more about her. I literally cannot imagine Josephine being a bard like Liliana. That's pretty crazy to think. But speaking of companion quests, I believe I have one more sort of major one to do. I still have these sort of little ones where Blackwall wants me to find little collectibles and stuff like that. But in terms of major companion quests, we have one more, and it's for Solus. It's called What Lies Dormant. Solus has located a powerful rift in the hinterlands that is not yet opened. He believes it to be unique and well worth investigating. So we're going to take him up on that, and we're going to go find this powerful rift. Alright, here we are back in the hinterlands. I feel like it's been a while. This is obviously the very first area that we visited in the game. We spent quite a bit of time here, to be honest, and we were even back here fairly recently to slay a dragon. But this is going to be possibly our last visit to the hinterlands. I don't think I really have anything else to do here. I was quite thorough in its completion, so figured we'd take the scenic route as we go find this powerful rift. You guys might have noticed as well that I got this really nice looking armor. I got this armor as a reward for that quest where I was investigating the Well of Sorrows. It not only looks cool, it also was great stat-wise, so that's where the new look comes from.
Scouted the area.
Hi. Keep it up. We love scouting the area. We also love when bears block our path. Luckily, he's only level 11. Back in the good old days when we first started this playthrough, this bear may have posed a challenge to us, but they've come far past the days of when bear attacks would have been scary. Take his hide and keep heading on. Got stuff along the way. I presume I'm going the right way. Yeah, here we go. Elf fruit to go with the bear hide. That's what we have here. It is spooky in here. Light up some of these braziers with the veil fire so we can see a little bit better. Oh, got a mosaic piece. Nice. God, it is so dark. There's the veil, I think. The rift, I should say. Straight ahead. Alright, let's do this! What do you got for me in the next round? Rift? But there actually might be 3 rounds. I'm looking up in the right corner, and this rift has a very big health bar. Much bigger than it normally does. I guess this is what Solus meant, that it had the potential to be a really big rift. Bigger than normal. Luckily, these shades aren't anything too crazy. Got some terrors here now as well, but good. Oh, nope, still only 2 rounds, but anyways, not too bad. Let's close this. Perfect. Rift closed. Oh, and quest complete, that's it. I thought Solus would have some, like, dialogue or something, you know, but apparently not. Got the rift closed. We're gonna get a rune here now once I grab my Veilfire again. And so that's officially it for companion quests, unless I missed one, which I mean is possible. I think we have finished all the companion quests. What I will do before we go to the final battle is I will do one last, do some rounds of our companions and make sure we speak to them and tie up any loose ends. Usually there's some fun dialogue too before we head to the final battle. But before we do that, like I mentioned before, I actually want to investigate 2 more areas. There are 2 areas on the Orlais side of the map. They're in and around the Exalted Plains, and they are, of course, the Emerald Graves and the Empire de Lyon. So we've got to go back to Skyhole again. Always lots of jumping around. We can then uncover the areas. I think I'm going to do the Emerald Graves first. Or is it Groves? Graves? Emerald something. The Emerald G's first. And then we'll go from there. So let's load into Skyhold. Head back to the war table. Alright, here we are back at the war table. I'm not sure if anybody's done their assignments yet to have a report. Doesn't appear so. That's fine, because what we will do is we're going to make contact in the Emerald Graves. It is Graves. Excellent. We've been contacted by a Fairbanks, who says he has information of value to the Inquisition. He offers a trade.
Have you had any trouble with them?
Not at all. I will inform you if that changes.
The information in exchange for the Inquisition's help in eliminating a dangerous rebel. A dangerous rebel band calling themselves the Freemen of the Dales. Oh, we've dealt with them before. There have been reported sightings of these rebels all over the Dales, where they have caused significant problems for Elysian troops. Uprooting them could be a good move for us. First, let us see what Fairbanks has to say. He's hiding out somewhere in the Emerald Graves, a legendary Dalish forest. My spies report that he is well acquainted with the area and its terrain. He could prove a useful asset if we choose to trust him. So Liliana says, at your word, I'll send emissaries to meet with Fairbanks, along with hidden agents to watch him. Lead Scout Harding made contact with Fairbanks and his men in the Emerald Graves and had a run-in with the rebel freemen of the Dales. They are as violent as we've been led to believe. As for Fairbanks, Harding was unable to coax much from him. He will only share what he knows with the Herald of Andraste, it seems. Fairbanks is holding his information close to his chest. I wonder if it might relate to something bigger than just the freemen of the Dales. If there is a chance at all, then we must learn all we can from him. Harding has set up an outpost in the Emerald Graves. Be careful, Inquisitor. The Forest of the Graves is treacherous, and home to enemies both new and ancient. So we've dealt with these freemen of the Dales before, of course, so this is new to us. I definitely want to make contact with Fairbanks and see what he has to say. And along the way, we can explore this ancient Dalish forest, which I just have a feeling is going to be absolutely beautiful.
Good to see you again, Inquisitor. Hope you've got your comfortable boots on. The scouts have seen a number of Fade rifts all over the forest. We've located this mysterious Fairbanks. He won't share his information with anyone but you. He and his men are camped out at Watcher's Reach, on the path ahead. From what we can tell, they're refugees from the war. Peasants, mostly.
Tell me about Fairbanks.
Tell me everything you know about Fairbanks.
We don't know much about him. He appeared after the Civil War started, helping people fleeing from the destruction. Fairbanks is likely not his real name.
That's what I assumed. Anything about the area?
Do you know anything else about the region?
They call this place the Emerald Graves. Legend says that a tree grows here for every elven knight of Halam Sharal who perished in its defense. Makes you sad, doesn't it?
Yeah, truly.
What was done to the elves here was unforgivable.
Never again. At least I hope not.
Alright, I'll be going then.
Thank you for the information. I'll head out.
One other thing. A group of deserters from the Imperial armies has established itself here. Freemen of the Dales, they call themselves. They are hostile to the Inquisition, and everyone else. Watch your back, Inquisitor.
Alright, so here we are in the Emerald Graves. Right away, we can grab this landmark. Knight's Guardian. Traveling through the Emerald Graves in the Dales, one will see dozens of carven stone wolves. The Dalish call these the Knight's Guardians. In the days of elven Halam Sharal, wolf companions walked alongside Emerald Knights, never leaving the side of their chosen knight. Wolf and elf would fight together, eat together, and when the knights slept, wolves would guard them. The statues were erected in memory of their unbreakable bond. Oh, I love that. We've seen these wolf statues all over the place. This isn't our very first time seeing them. So knowing the history behind them is rather beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, right away, you can see how green everything is, giving me Arbor Wilds vibes. And we are going to start exploring the area. It is quite large, as you can see. We've got a ton of quests here. And most importantly, I want to make contact with this so-called Fairbanks. Whoops. As long as we don't burn the forest down with our magic by accident, I will see you guys back here again next time for another episode of Dragon Age Inquisition, where we will tackle the Emerald Graves.